What is it?
San Pedro del Oro is coming down. Everything, everyone, soon, soon.
I'll only have love for my son and for you. I swear Gaston will never touch me again.
Today's highlight.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here.
What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week?
I say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
It's Friday, it's Friday, it's Friday, it's Friday. Another weekend is upon us. How are you doing this Friday? I'm sure most of you are excited about the weekend that is here. But here in Kampala, it's actually raining. It has been raining, I think, like since 4 a.m. in the morning. But we are here, rain or shine, Morning at NTV is always here. I want to thank you for joining us, tuning in this Friday morning. What plans do you have? Do let us know your plans. Send us an SMS 6565 or follow us on Facebook or Twitter and let us know what plans you have for the weekend. Do you know that the people you hang out with in a way can determine who your friends are? We can determine who your friends are with the people you hang out with. And also, I came across this, that what you read will also determine where you will be in about 5 years' time. If you're reading stuff that has potential to spur you on and take you further, that's most probably where you will be. Ask yourself, where do I want to be 5 years from now? And look at the people you're hanging out with and look at what you're reading. Well, this is Morning at NTV and here is our question of the day. Yes, that is our question of the day, starting us off here Morning at NTV. But remember, we also have the press review with Simon and Joel. We'll have the big story with Simon. We'll have Everyday Life with Brian. And obviously, we'll end the program with sports with Dakaba Chigongo joining us here. But for now, here are the news headlines. I beg your pardon. Here is the news. Parliament has started investigations into allegations of bribery by power distributor Umeme to some members of Parliament not to support the committee recommendations terminating its contract. As the committee begins its probe, NTV has reliably learned that the Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department of Police has obtained a telephone printout pointing at the possible involvement of some lawmakers into the alleged scandal.
In October last year, the Speaker Rebecca Kadaga directed the Parliamentary Committee on Rules, Discipline and Privileges to probe media reports that claimed that about 30 MPs pocketed 5 million shillings each to frustrate the Umeme report.
So I'm instructing the Rules Committee to investigate this allegation and report to the House.
The committee has begun its probe to ashame lawmakers allegedly tarnishing the image of Parliament.
And we are saying that that is too much of an accusation which cannot be left hanging.
It's alleged that over 30 members of parliament converged at Protea Hotel, from where they were paid 5 million shillings each from Umeme officials. However, Umeme denied the allegations. The first witnesses who were lined up at Protea Hotel and the managers of the Observer newspaper, but all snubbed the hearing.
You know, I did a good job with all my heart, with all my soul. My name is above what I eat.
However, NTV has reliably learned that the Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department of Police CID has obtained a telephone printout linking some lawmakers into the alleged corruption deal. It's alleged that a youthful legislator is at the center of these allegations. Sources informed NTV that the phone printout shows this lawmaker calling colleagues. All the telephone conversations allegedly point to the location of the hotel from where they allegedly received the money. West Budama MP Jacob Obos, who chaired the Umeme probe, which later recommended termination of Umeme contract, is now the new chairperson who rules discipline and privileges, once again probing the allegation of bribery. But his colleagues on the same committee have asked him to step aside, claiming he has a conflict of interest into the matter.
Unfortunate part of it is that the chairperson, who is now the chairperson of rules, was the chairperson of the ad hoc committee, which was investigating.
We made a recommendation to terminate Umeme. Could it have been Umeme to bribe us that we recommend for termination? Could it have been the government? Could it have been any other person? I feel that the allegation is baseless, frivolous, and vexatious. It's only there to annoy.
This is not the first time that Parliament investigates bribery allegations. Remember, the Temangaro bribery allegations, the Chogam bribery allegations, the bicycle scandal bribery allegations. However, these investigations have never brought the culprits to book. It comes at a time when Parliament has already recommended the termination of the contract of Umeme. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Finance Minister Maria Chiwanuka faced criticism in the House after she failed to provide answers over why civil servants continue to go without salaries. Chiwanuka was later forced to withdraw a statement which drew contempt from lawmakers. As Agnes Nandutu reports, Chiwanuka was asked to return to the plenary with a more comprehensive statement.
Civil servants, especially those in the low ranks like teachers, health workers and policemen, have often gone without salaries. But government has always offered lip service rather than practical solutions to the crisis.
Much as they are carrying out reforms, they should bear in mind that those who have not been paid should be paid in any way. Let the ministry see what it can do to ensure that the civil servants are paid. We've got an example of security people who carry guns and they are not being paid more than 3 months.
But we are going to work hand in hand with the district officials to make sure that the teachers should be paid. They should be paid because it is a big problem in my constituency.
I went to Mbara municipality and found a police constable who had not received his salary since December 2013.
Speaker Rebecca Kadaga last week directed Finance Minister Maria Chiwanuka to give a response to this persistent problem. But Kiwanuka's attempt to present a threadbare ministerial statement on the matter was treated with contempt by the lawmakers. She was forced to withdraw the statement and asked to bring a comprehensive one.
Poor Minister seems not to be knowing the craftsmanship of what is happening. So that's why she brought a wrong document, and that's why Parliament has forced her to withdraw and even apologize.
Parliament had so many discrepancies because it was giving wrong things. It was not a coordinated paper. I think the technocrats wrote for her something very bad.
As you know, we're only given 1 day to prepare it. So rather than come and say, oh, give us more time, I said, let me bring what I have. So they've duly noted. They have noted the successes and the challenges still remaining. They said, take it back and bring it when it's more complete.
Pay your workers their wages before their sweat dries. That would mean that before the end of the month, a civil servant must be paid.
The teachers were not paid, the police officers were not paid, the health workers were not paid, and this is some kind of a scapegoat. It's a mistake at the center which is being hidden, and the blame is transferred to the chief administrative officer. So we are just appealing to the ministry that if there is a mistake, if there is a weakness, they should correct it instead of blaming it on the innocent chief administrative officers.
Before she was forced to withdraw the statement, the minister told the MPs that he has now decentralized the payroll management system, which will enable public servants to get salaries in time. She revealed that as a result of the exercise to rid the payroll of ghosts, government has saved 9.6 billion shillings.
The police officers who are not paid demand more than the 9 billion shillings. They are being mistreated. The teachers from my constituency who are not paid are substantial.
We have cases of policemen. The policemen are there, but some of them have either been paid half the pay since March and April, or others have been totally missing out. So for you to say that we have made a saving is a misnomer.
So they're simply playing a ping pong. You cannot talk about a saving when actually you're withholding people's money, when you know that people have not been given a salary. So this is simply people's money. They're even actually supposed to be paying interest accruing.
The Speaker has now sanctioned the House Select Committee to probe the issue of ghosts on the government payroll. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
The resident city commissioner, Aisha Kabanda, has ordered for the halting of a construction of a commercial building at Nachivubo Blue Primary School, citing what she says is a fraudulent agreement between the developer and the school's board.
The row over this piece of land dates back to 1996, when the then school's board entered into a memorandum of understanding with the private developer, Festo Kasaja, to construct a commercial building on the plot and in return build another income-generating structure for the school.
When we see government property running away like that and we don't know who is benefiting out of it and under which mandate those who give in this land give it out.
The RCC further says the agreement is flawed because the school board acted arbitrarily to sell government land.
There are a lot of inconsistencies in this memorandum of understanding.
Kabanda also accuses the developer for not constructing a septic tank, resulting into the flow of sewage in the school's playground.
And their sewage line runs through the school. We don't know where these things are taken care of in the planning arrangement of Kampala City Council.
No plan is kwenzimbira za Kampala City Council.
However, Kasaja says he has been dealing with KCCA, which has jurisdiction over the land. In 2003, KCC told the developer that he did own the land, and since then he has been paying property rent for the land.
Nze byange nkolagana nannyini ttaka landlord Kampala City Council.
Kasaja says that he was further told to give up part of the land, which now accommodates a market.
Good City Council manje kizimbe.
Ati chitulaga kizimbe chiwawa.
Kati obuzibu buli bumu.
Ze supervising projects za government.
Ntegere nti mukama wange yakutumye.
Sebo. Ze supervising projects za government zonna.
Ojazi haza government nga nekizimbe 10 years sente zigenda kwa kafu ne mu City Council natuseyo teri.
Anti ekizimbe chiwakwasa City Council chiriwa. Emyaka 10 wachiba wada chiriwa.
City Council ulide kayana sijiwanga kizimbe.
Nze nkanyana. Nange
ndi wa City Council.
The school administration refused to comment on the matter. The developer says he has not received an official communication regarding the halting of construction.
In writing that I have to react because I have all the documents. They have to take them to court. That's why I wanted them to put it in writing.
When we telephoned Peter Kawuju, the KCCA publicist, for a comment on the matter, he did not return our call. Built in 1953 by the colonial government, Nachivubo Primary School has been in the hands of administrators at City Hall. Shilandu Uchire, NTV.
The vast expanse of land in the Central African Republic has partly helped make the hunt for the fugitive Lord's Resistance Army rebel chief Joseph Kony very difficult. Also weighing in hard on UPDF efforts are infrastructural challenges. Routes in the areas of Obor and Ajem in the Central African Republic known to be used by Kony are virtually inaccessible. In part 2 of our series on Kony's hunt in Central African Republic, our reporter Maurice Ochol finds out how the UPDF is hoping to change all that.
This trail, the UPDF contingent based here in the Central African Republic believes is one of the many routes the Lord's Resistance Army rebel leader Joseph Kony and fighters has been using to evade arrest. Heavy armed trucks such as these are what the UPDF often uses to patrol routes. When we join them, the strict orders are for us to move in a convoy just in case of an attack. Very soon, we encounter what is one of the other difficulties in hunting Joseph Kony, the bad road network. It's what the rebels capitalize while in flight. We then came across this truck packed to capacity with passengers and goods that had been stuck on the road for over an hour. In situations such as these, all hopes are often pinned on the UPDF.
The roads are bad, it's a rainy season, and this is what we experience. So moving from here to reaching our next destination, sometimes it does not go according to our plan because there are a lot of issues that affect operations.
Ironically, this road is still considered one of the best here and a major transit route to South Sudan. It's such a delicate balance traveling on this route. In an instance, a UPDF truck with the NTV crew almost tipped over in a swamp. Efforts were not spared to remove the truck, but the state of the road did not make it any easier. Only when another truck was brought to drag it over did we get some relief at last. As we traveled deeper in the dense forest, so did the trucks find it difficult to make their way on the slippery road. No one could tell where and when any attack could come from. We finally reached a gem. Now, approximately 2 months ago, this is what the Lord's Resistance Army did to this ambulance that was, of course, transferring drugs. And the area where we are is one of the places whereby the Lord's Resistance Army rebels used to use it as their safe haven. Many residents have since abandoned the place, while a few remain behind to protect what was left. We continued our journey to Kachema, where the UPDF had previously repaired the bridge. Very vital to the people here. For years, this bridge had been abandoned and no one was willing to repair it because of the security threat posed by the LRA.
This ferry here, then there would be a total breakdown in the communication and movement of goods and the people.
It is considered one of the strategic routes used by the LRA, and women such as these had to struggle to cross over. By helping the locals, the UPDF hopes that by generating goodwill, the people will provoke key intelligence on the rebels. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
That brings our morning bulletin to an end. Time now for the press review with the team. Good morning, Simon.
Well, good morning, Mabel. This wonderful Friday morning, the 16th day of May 2014, quite cold here in Kampala. And yes, we are waking up to, of course, deliver to you the press review of this edition of Morning at NTV, where we are waking up to, well, I'll tell you later when we come to the press review of the headline in today's Daily Monitor. A very good morning once again. Welcome to NTV's morning at NTV's press review, coming to you from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel on this 16th day of May 2014. And yes, the usual crew that is dressed down for a Friday, Brian and Joel, all looking so casual, but of course sharp and smart. Good morning, fellows.
Good morning.
Don't you feel this exaggerated sense of self-worth when you find a deputy little minister of a certain country warning a continental leadership and it's carried as a headline?
That can't respond to the US.
So, assistant, what's the title?
Just want to be very specific.
Title of this lady?
Okay, here it is.
Linda Thomas Greenfield, Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs.
And she's saying that African leaders should not cling to power. She was quoted to say that our message is there is life after presidency. We encourage these presidents, African presidents, that is to look for opportunities to contribute to their countries in other ways. What is wrong with what she's saying?
Linda Thomas.
Who is she?
Let her come here, become an African, and then say these things. Let her leave matters of Africans. I want to believe that.
Do you blame her for
I'm not blaming her. I just don't. I don't.
Leaders have contributed to their country even after president.
Listen, that country is 200 and something years old after independence.
What an
it
excuse.
has gone through the bitter pangs of whatever. If you are going to expect Mulondo's child who is 2 years to start behaving with reasonable sound-mindedness of Kasiate who's 40, then clearly you're missing the point here. And also, what I also don't like is the condescending attitude of a little of it. I mean, if it was President Obama speaking to fellow presidents, that one I can understand. I should get it a front page on a newspaper. I don't want an assistant secretary. You know, it's like me. You know, I cannot be a mere corporate affairs manager of a certain corporate identity, and then I start warning CEOs of big corporations in New York.
It depends. The corporate affairs director of which company?
Exactly. Now,
but
this
is the Secretary of State for the U.S. But if
that is the mentality that is going to keep us all looking up to Global Corp and Uncle Sam. Would she say this to the Russian leadership?
Of course not. Yeah, because Russia is not Uganda. Yes.
Well,
two things. For me, I think it's not rocket science that we can get around
no,
this thing.
Tell me something. No, tell me something. No, Joe,
tell
me something. This lady, what she said here, stop clinging on to power.
Isn't it true?
No, wait a minute. It's rocket science here. You did not know that. You have not told that to your president. You are citizens. So what difference will her statements made from Nether come to make an impact here? Does she vote here? Does she have a voting right? Let us exercise we as the affected communities, let us exercise our civic rights and fight for our own freedoms.
But you have failed.
That, fine.
You have failed. So Americans are doing it for you. You have failed to fight Kony for a long time. So they've sent helicopters.
You have
we
saw them winning the
battle. You have failed to rescue us in Nigeria. So they've sent hostage negotiators.
Relax. So when they came, have they got Kony?
But Simon, what I was talking about as rocket science is when you are giving the exculpation of, you see, our democracy is not as built as the US, for goodness sake. What is so hard about saying, you know what, I have run my race, why should I cling on to this thing? I hand over, peacefully. Tanzania does it. Hold on, relax. Tanzania does it, Ghana does it. It should not be rocket science.
In the US?
They are in Africa. So
then let's shut up. There are cases.
No.
Listen.
For me, my concern is you are giving the excuse of the US is a 200-year democracy. So for us, we should relax and
not relax. I said we should move at our pace. I can tell you, the Bachiga have a vulgar proverb, which I don't intend to say here on air, that if you want to do things your father's way when you are not his age, you may get a calamity.
No, but we are saying
those who know
Michigan will understand. We can.
But you see, we don't need to be told of things that we already know.
And we will continue to tell you.
And that's what I'm telling you. Some of us will also continue putting them in their places and say, look, let them go and handle issues of pedophilia, issues of people walking into schools and gunning down young children. There are a lot more other pressing problems, and all these other expeditions that America has taken itself into the whole world, terrorize it and getting the backlash back at home. I'm coming here to these
Simon,
are
he who pays the piper calls the tunes. Simon, if you still sleep in your father's house, he puts food on your table, he does everything literally for you. Right. He will tell you when or not to marry, he will tell you when or not to get out of his house, when to come back, and you'll have nothing to say about it. You say, Dad, I'm above 18. That will be absolute crap. This is the situation
you will have nothing to say to your dad. Me, I will have something to say. And that's why I'm saying, with all due respect to you, Madam, what's her name?
Linda.
Thomas Greenfield. The African presidents have been told this over and over again.
And we will continue to tell them.
By us who are here, who have suffered their brigandage, who suffer all their... But tell you what, a people deserve the leaders that they get. Do not expect...
So what kind of we need to move on. Our time is running real fast. Umeme Hope's contract won't be terminated. I'm sure he's going to make more noise about that.
No, wait a minute. You do not just read the headline and leave there. At least employ people.
People will have to buy the papers. I was here just to tell them what's up. When you want to ruminate further on the ESCOM Umeme story, but this man...
there's no ESCOM here. I'm just telling you that the chairman of Umeme
Brian said the other day,
that this government does respect the rule of law. It understands when it engages itself in contracts.
Look
that
at you bribing them.
Those
You're trying to bribe government.
No. Listen, at the end of the day, like I've always argued here, when Umeme is looking for a CEO, they look for an incredible brain to boot their case forward. When this government is looking for officials to negotiate on the other, to become attorney generals and all, they get the best brains in law. No. So you expect a mediocre brain and a top brain to meet on a negotiating table and the contract to go fair? Certainly not. So
still in the Daily Monitor, Parliament has ordered government to pay civil servants. Now you must know that there are civil servants that have gone up to about 6 months without pay.
Well,
we need to keep highlighting their plight.
Months, actually.
It's unfortunate I am not in the shoes of Mr. Gibson, who is the executive editor of the Daily Monitor, who is having a strong altercation with how journalism is done in this country. But believe you me, if I had a say on what becomes the headline at the Daily Monitor, and this not take a swipe at my good friends there, I'm just making a humble suggestion. The boy who needs 1.5 million shillings daily to survive, this is human life that we are talking about, possibly should have been the front page story as opposed to someone telling us what we already know.
So that means you're also throwing jibe at the Observer, who says Americans target police and army officers accused of human rights abuses. And they've interviewed lots of Ugandans, some senior government officials, people who are victims of the Buganda riots, about the cases of human rights
I keep getting surprised that you are surprised that the US is preponderant over us.
Over everyone. Sometimes you have an exaggerated sense of self-worth.
Yeah, precisely because they pay some of our bills. For as long as we keep running to them for aid, they will keep doing that. Until we get to a point where we ameliorate ourselves, grow up, they'll keep doing this. And you should not be surprised that they keep doing it.
Also, not much of a surprise that we've got the executive editor of the Daily Monitor, who I think comes from the quarters of the USA, Mr. Malcolm Gibson, who has for the last couple of weeks been engaged in sending to us very interesting op-eds in the opinion section of the Daily Monitor, explaining what he brings on the table with regard to journalism in Uganda. And of course, his argument has been that we journalists, for the most part, always interfuse our personal opinions and the objectivity of reporting stories without malice. I totally agree with him. In fact, I am one of those few that agree with him. Hang me. But of course, in today's column, he says his Wednesday column, remember on Wednesday he wrote, explicating more on that. He says, my Wednesday column fell short on explaining what rumor and gossip. Now, do we, for the most part, report rumor or gossip? This front page story of his, clearly rumors and just...
It's not rumors. I mean, it happened. It's not a rumor. The lady came out and she... All right, still in the Daily Monitor here. Stop begging mentality. The Katikido tells the youth he was moving around doing the tafari. And the lizard here, interestingly, says, but he is going around asking.
No, what he's doing is not begging. He's fundraising.
Yeah, okay.
And somebody here wrote a letter and says Katikiro is a good, charismatic leader. There has been rumor. Okay, now you talk about rumors. There has been one that he's tipped to become Prime Minister of Uganda. That is a rumor.
Well, I think he has exhibited tremendous leadership skills within a little...
You say it with a lot of skills.
No. I mean, the Right Honorable Charles Peter Maiga, for me, he's a man who...
Skepticism.
Not skepticism. He's a man I have very strong respect for. I mean, he's personally known to me, and for me, I think he has his head properly screwed on his shoulders, as opposed to what we've seen in recent times. Of course, clearly, if he has exhibited such tremendous leadership skills and mobilization skills, and, drive... I mean, he's created massive... visibility for the kingdom and in the right direction. This is a guy who possibly would put up a formidable game for Uganda. So I think he can be anything in Uganda, including and not limited to the prime ministership or even presidency for that matter.
There you have it.
Some good news finally this morning.
And of course, I must also inform you that in August, on his way to Tororo and the Greater Easter, he will pass by the confines of ESCOM, where we shall also give our part of the tofari. It's already on his itinerary.
We need to agree, I'm going to talk to the producer that we should begin to send a monthly invoice to ESCOM. Now we have given ESCOM mileage on this show. Anyhow, in the opinion section here of the Daily Monitor, somebody says exclude both Museveni and Babazi from NRM leadership contention. This person feels these gentlemen are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, but who is that one making that opinion?
It's a Ugandan. That's what is important.
No, his name is Augustine Ruzindana, a former IGG, a former member of the NRM, now an active member of the Forum for Democratic Change. One wants to ask, There are no more pressing issues in the FDC that now they have resorted looking into the NRM.
Well, issues to do with His Excellency Museveni and Babazi are national issues. They concern you, whether you're UPC or you do not even know where you belong.
Are party problems.
Party problems, but you see, it's playing out on the national platform. Ultimately, it does get to affect us.
When Muntu was fighting with Mafabi, wasn't it playing out on the national platform?
Yeah, but you see, it does not affect every Ugandan like it does when a head of state is involved.
I am wondering, when you say every Ugandan, I am having a feeling I'm possibly Congolese, because me, Museveni or Mbabazi fighting,
no,
at the end of the day, maybe it affects me positively that I have something to say whenever I come on this set and get paid some money. But clearly, negative impact, I don't see it. And please, not exaggerate. And don't always speak for most Ugandans. Do not give yourself the Herculean task. Do not give yourself the Herculean task of speaking for Ugandans. I can tell you, Joel, they will be shocked by Ugandans here.
President Museveni is the president of, whether you like him or you do not like him. I do not agree with much of what he does or says, but he is my president at least up to 2016, except if, God forbid, he falls dead before then.
And one thing is for sure, like don't even go that direction. I have a feeling he will still be your president come 2021 when we are doing another election.
I hope that does not happen, but if it does
I can tell you that hope of yours is just ill wish.
Speaking of Museveni and Babazi, Babazi was in Boston last week, had an interview, and he said Museveni may not run in 2016.
Did he say that?
Yeah. But he categorically went on record and said, I will say this again, if the president stands again, I cannot stand against.
Away from the standing or not standing or political gymnastics, we are looking at Uganda moving forward and taking leaps and bounds. This is a country that hopes to make its first car. We're going into mass production of cars by 2018. Now, if a country, for the most part, is making cars in 2018, and you want it to be at the same level of democratization as one that has General Motors that has been open for the last over half a century, then I think we are putting the cat before the horse. But anyway, there we have it. And of course, districts in Uganda clamoring for 38% of the national cake. We are talking about the budget here.
But look,
as 77% pass primary teachers' examinations. So what happens to the 23%? They repeat or they find their way into the education system. And those are the teachers that teach our children how to fail exams.
We talk about producing cars. I like to think we assemble these cars in this place. Kira EV, now I see a powerful machine. I don't know what name
that almost looks like these. No, it looks like these Swedish cars. What they call them, subs, or looks like a Volvo.
For goodness sake, what does it mean to produce cars? You know a bit about producing electricity or darkness in your case.
We have this skepticism about ourselves. We are unable to produce cars. We just assemble them. We are unable to do this. And then somehow we are able to be democratic. Oh, we should be
able to. There's no rocket science about it, you know. You know what? I have run my race.
Rocket science doesn't make cars. It makes rockets. So please, let's not transcribe words here.
No, and I'm not saying it's impossible for us to make cars, you know, but let's be ingenious about these things. When we assemble a car, let's give credit to whoever deserves the credit. These cars were assembled, and I'm not in any way trying to denigrate the engineers of these young people at our universities. I think they're very sharp. Even the fact that they assemble these cars is awesome.
For that matter, I will have Professor Tikodri, if time allowing and his schedule allowing, on the big story next week so that we can discuss some of these technological advancements. And let's not forget that this is a gentleman who is academic nuances being put to test. He is a professor by all standards who you can see there is something tangible coming out of his professorship. And so this whole denigrating and having this sense of, I call it exaggerated self-unworthiness, which is the opposite of how the Americans feel about themselves, is what is certainly going to keep us in the bondage of playing 100th fiddle, not even second fiddle here. I think we need to support our local industry.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And that's why I'm saying,
you see,
even that we are assembling cars.
If they assembled that car from here, would you buy it?
I mean, yeah, why
look at the guys.
You're not going to buy it. Your dream car is a G5, whatever. You will never buy that car.
Because that is what is available on the market. I cannot dream of what has not yet been put in place. Just like, I mean, it's not an issue of Joel having a dream wife who he has never seen.
Before you misconstrue what I am saying, I'm saying it is fine that we are assembling these cars, you know, but you see, it's not good enough. We should not be content and happy that we are just doing the assembling bit. Right. We should probably get to a point where we can manufacture these cars, you know.
Joel,
so
please.
Assembling them, it
Joel, please.
Good. Is it good enough?
There's a feature in the Observer.
Joel, do not misconstrue the headline of the Daily Monitor. It is clear. Uganda to produce, not to assemble. To
right, but the other day we said we manufactured the Kira EV car, and I'm saying we assembled that car.
What's your evidence? You see, you're not going to come here and just start blabbering.
Much of what we used to put this car together.
Show me importation. No, show me importation skills. Slips.
So you're actually concurring?
No, show me importation slips that we imported here. I mean, even people in Japan, in Toyota, do not produce bauxite. They get it from elsewhere and turn it into the product that they want.
No, but they have the rights to that, Simon. But anyway, men are embracing women's fields in the Observer, and the focus is on a guy who is a midwife. I don't know if guys are called midwives also.
Mid-husbands, perhaps.
Something.
There's something you're missing out in the Observer in this section.
375 babies in 2 years.
Talking about men taking on women's fields, there is an interesting article here.
Kasiate says men need grooming as much as women.
Thank you very much. Now, your weekend pull out of Scoop that gives you the number 1411. And of course, very nice for you who are interested in finding out about, obviously, matters that are in showbiz in Uganda. It is in the Daily Monitor this morning to start your weekend right. And yes, we've got interesting stories in the sports section, looking at whether or not our good old team that has been a slave of no trophies for the last 8 years will certainly break the jinx when they win some silverware, or if they win some silverware at the weekend. Folks, I think this is the time when we get down to Mabel and find out what's happening on the international scene. We hear reports that Britain has issued a travel advisory to citizens in Kenya to vacate that place immediately because of incredible and credible information that they've had of an impending terror attack. What else is playing out on the international scene?
And the US is telling our president to give up power when the time is due.
They have a president of their own.
Mabel. Okay, we should hand over.
Yes, thank you very much, Simon. And actually, that story is on the Sky News website. UK tourists flee Kenya after terror warnings. You can see them at the airport with their luggage covered with the British flag. Hundreds of customers in Kenya have flown back. Hundreds of tourists, in Kenya have flown back because of this alert. Also making the big story on the Sky News website is the fury over the mine safety as Turkey buries its dead. We know that about 300 miners died during an accident early at the start of the week, and people are really not happy. They are calling for the president to resign. Also making news is the Nigerian president is set to visit the town in which the abducted girls were from, where the Boko Haram seized them. And we have Jay-Z and Solange apologizing over this lift fight. Now, we do know that something did happen in a lift a while back, and it's actually making a story, big headline story on CNN. Solange, Jay-Z and Beyonce break their silence. It kind of caused a media storm, if you ask me. Everyone wanted to know what actually happened. They released a statement saying both of them, Jay-Z and Solange, acknowledge their role in this private matter that was played out in the public. They have apologized to each other and have moved on. And I guess they're basically telling the world, move on as well. Each family has its own issues, they go on to say, and we have put this one behind us. We love each other. We're not different from any other family. I guess that has its ups and downs. But obviously, as stars in the spotlight, we expect them to be picture perfect. Another story coming in from the U.S. Wildfires scorch the San Diego County. Mother Nature indeed has not been on their side. These are unseasonably strong winds and intense heat, and it's making the situation worse. On the BBC World News page, India begins the election vote count. This mammoth 9-phase general election has started the counting, and hopefully within the next couple of hours we shall be getting some results in. Brazil has been hit by anti-World Cup rallies. Brazilians are not happy with the cost of the World Cup and have taken to the streets, and this has caused some problems there. And China drilling to go on despite riots, something we talked about earlier in the week, the oil rig that is causing tension between China and Vietnam. China insists its oil rig will continue drilling in contested waters of the South China Sea. That's all we had for you here on the international scene.
that is going to be seriously debated about. We should not get involved in it as a nation. And it shall be used all over the place. There's a person who is going to rise up. Pray for the Minister of Health. His life is preserved. In the name of Jesus. Our nation is actually in Greece, is actually the whole gay thing. The debate is going to rise again.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Well, time now for the big story, and Simon is standing by on the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. Simon, who is the guest today and what's the topic?
Well, thank you, Mabel. This morning we are looking at something that many of you or many of our viewers or many of us do suffer from, and that's domestic violence. And now we are seeing a trend where this is no longer a preserve of women as victims, but for the most part now men are becoming overt victims, and well, they may not be changing their habits of speaking out, but clearly we are seeing men being abused and used by their partners and spouses. And of course, to discuss this very emotive subject is the chairperson of Uganda Women's Network, Sheila Kaumara-Mishambi. In August of 2007, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics did publish a report indicating that 68% of ever married women aged between the age of 15 and 49 had experienced some form of violence inflicted by their spouse or intimate partner. In 2006, a year earlier, the study by the Uganda Law Reform Commission yielded similar data indicating that 66% of both men, listen to this, indicating that both men and women respondents had experienced some kind of domestic violence. This survey also found that 60% of men and 70% of women in Uganda condone wife beating. But also a similar report by the UNICEF in 2008 did indicate that men who suffer this kind of indignity, for the most part, do not speak out. Now, domestic violence is not a new phenomenon. It has been as old as perhaps human existence. But for the most part, men have been the perpetuators and women the victims. The tables seem to be turning. And of course, well, since it's the Americanization of the world, we always borrow these examples from the USA and very specifically from Hollywood. Not so long ago, a musician by the name of Chris Brown beat up his partner, Rihanna, and the whole world was up in arms, calling him all sorts of indignified and uncharitable names, and of course, calling for his ostracization. Many years down the road, very few years maybe I would say, and just a week ago, We saw the tables turning on perhaps the world's most revered rapper, Jay-Z, being spanked, kicked, and verbally abused by his own sister-in-law in the presence of his wife in the enclosure of an elevator. If you think I am lying, take a look at this. This is video that was captured by surveillance cameras within the confines of this elevator, and we see Jay-Z and his wife Beyonce walking in the company of Beyonce's younger sister Solange and the bodyguard, and finding somebody inside that lift, and you can see the altercation in there. Of course, it wasn't such a beating in the real sense as we Ugandans would certainly do it, but you can see some kicking and all that. But well, there it is in the USA, of course, even pointing a finger at somebody as you raise your voice, that is tantamount to abuse or perhaps even beating. In this case, we see the man acting as the gentleman that the world expects him to be and not returning any form of altercation. There you can see it, the verbal artillery, the kicks, the slaps and all that, while the wife is in a corner, all keeping quiet. After this debacle, Jay-Z has turned out to be the world's biggest joke, especially playing out on cyberspace and all the other fora where you find all this 411. Contrary to what the backlash on Chris Brown was. Nobody is saying Solange should be looked at maybe as a psychic or even ostracized or even as to pay for her sins. Question is the world coming to this extent where women perpetuate violence over men and nothing is said, and instead men turn out to be laughing stocks, and when men do exactly that, they are ostracized and kicked? Yes, you guessed where. Sheila, you are a women's rights activist par excellence. You know, I do not know whether it's from first hand, but certainly you, in your course of work, you have experienced people who have come up to you with the scars and with the horror stories of domestic violence or violence of this kind of nature that is gender-based.
Yeah, sure.
Let's start from this point. Do you find it okay that women should perpetuate violence to men and the world takes that as a joke, and yet when men do that, the world comes up in arms?
Of course, Simon, violence is violence. It doesn't matter who perpetuates it. And whoever, whether man or woman, it is criminal, it is outrageous, it should be condemned. Because no matter what, violence should not be permissible in whatever circumstance.
Tremendous. So how come we see the world going the direction of non-condemnation, but rather taking it as a comical stint in the case of Solange beating Jay-Z, and yet we saw tremendous condemnation when Chris Brown beat? And I'm sorry we're using all this based on Hollywood stories, but this story can be replicated anywhere in Uganda. I know very many Chris Browns in this country, but I also do not know many Jay-Z's, because most of us, even when we're beaten by our women, we just cow down and never speak out.
Yes, it is unfortunate that when men are beaten, they never come out to say it. We know so many of the abused men, even very, very powerful men, we think are powerful. Some of them are beaten by their wives. And you see violence or gender-based violence, it is a power thing. It is who has the power. It could be financial power, it could be academic power, it could be any form of power over the other partner. So in whatever form, if one partner feels the other partner has more power, then one partner will cower away.
But also, of course, this gender-based violence is based on certain circumstances. For example, the reason we're discussing this on a Friday is because we're getting into the weekend, and of course there will be some imbibing of alcohol, there will be some loose time, people getting to interact more intimately, and eventually, as all this takes place, some people may have altercations and eventually fight. Doesn't the issue of substance consumption and abuse also contribute to this as a major driver?
Yeah, true. Drugs do contribute to abuse. And
of course, we're not saying that this couple, the Hollywood couple, had been involved in drugs, but I'm sure they had some alcohol on their heads.
Exactly. But also, it comes out as a result of bad upbringing. Certain people have been brought up in violent situations. They have been kind of conditioned that a small thing will spark off that person, and they will become violent to anybody closest to them. They could become violent to their spouses or even violent to their children.
Of course, you know how violent or non-violent the black community is in the USA, and so this kind of things playing out within a black couple certainly is not something that cannot certainly be seen as an outrageous or a first. But let's get down to Ugandanize this issue. These reports that have just been issued out, 60% of both women and men saying they have been abusing one another. Are these statistics reflective of the reality on the ground, or are we missing something here?
I think most of the cases, most of the violent cases go unreported. So the statistics, it's just a tip on the iceberg. You'll find that most people that are abused take it as a normal occurrence. Wife beating is acceptable. It's an acceptable norm.
And somebody say that chronic wife beaters, in fact, are more likely to be very fidel people. They do not take on extra partners.
Yes.
A wife beater, a man, for example, is normally a very faithful guy.
Yes.
But somehow he subjects his wife to this kind of untold suffering.
Exactly.
What is this psychological connection between fidelity and wife beating?
I'm not a psychologist and I wouldn't want to go down that direction.
I'm sorry you interview some of these people.
It happens that somebody beats up a spouse, a woman, for example, not as a sign of love. I think
say it's a sign of love.
No, I think it is some form of sickness. You beat me up and then you expect to say, oh my God, what has happened? So most of them are very apologetic, and that's why these women stay in those abusive relationships, because I am beaten. Then
you pack your bags,
he apologizes, he kneels, he cries and says, I don't know what came over me, I will never do it again, and then he does it again.
And you trust him, and then he does it again.
Exactly.
Then you trust him, then he does it again.
Yeah.
But let's get down to your movement, the women rights movement. And now, sorry, I'm going to the side where women are the victims, for the most part. You have been running this campaign for ages. To what extent can you confidently say that you have run your race and won some kind of victories along the way?
I think one of a major achievement we've had is breaking the silence about violence against women, and to me that is commendable. I remember when the Vice President, Dr. Speciosa Wanderakaziwe, came out to say, I have been battered and I want to break the silence. To me that was a great achievement, because so many women were able now to come out. The police
she came out because she was Vice President.
No,
if she hadn't been, if she was a mere
you see,
anyone.
if she didn't come out, so many middle class, high class women never talk about the violence they encounter in those high walled homes
where you think that it's a blissful existence.
Exactly. Most of such women will never talk about it. They are driving big cars, wonderful. They have high.
Well, the argument has been, I would rather cry in a Mercedes than be happy on a border.
Exactly. But you see, eventually the crying becomes too much. You realize that it is not only affecting you and your spouse, but even the children are getting traumatized. And most women, that's when they say, I think enough is enough.
Let's get down to the flip side of men. Where you sit. Tell me, what is your experience with men getting henpecked by their wives and also beaten and suffering the same kind of torture as you are narrating of women?
Yes. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, when men are henpecked, when men are beaten, they never come out to talk about it, because culturally or society does not expect a man to be beaten. Again, it is the power thing. They expect that it is the man who goes to the home of the woman, brings her into his home and takes care of this woman. So the man has power. But
so when the tables turn, the men suffer silently.
The men suffer
so
silently.
Why don't we then see people who are conscious enough like yourself running now a movement for male emancipation from the bondage of women beating?
I think I would expect the men to take it up.
No, I think we are afraid to do that. I mean, we see men joining the women's movement and supporting the women's rights cause.
And we do support it. Actually, Simon, when a man is beaten, we shall condemn it, just as when a woman is beaten. But really, for women to talk so well for the men, I think it would be kind of not very believable. Like when a man comes out to say, men who are beaten, let's come up and say no to violence against men. Then the women will come and join you, just like us. It is the women who come out first, and then we call upon the men to come in as partners, and then they join us, and when we are able to advance the cause.
On this wonderful rainy Friday morning, Sheila, we are trying to set the mood right for the weekend. For the most part, you have a couple, married couple, and the woman really wants to have a Friday out with the girls, and sometimes subjects the man to babysitting, preparing the dinner, laying the bed, and all that kind of. Is that a sign of development and civilization, or is it a case of a quintessential case where men need to stand up and say, look, I think we need to be emancipated from the yoke of these women?
No.
Because we see this happening a lot. And you see some men are even confidently saying in this way, no, me I cook at home. Me I push the kids on the pram.
Which is okay.
What's that?
I really consider it to be okay. Because, Simon, the kids, much as I carry it in my womb, these kids are our kids. Eh? So when my husband decides to change the pamper, it does not take the man out of him.
I see them carrying kids on these things in supermarkets. He's pushing a palm and he has a child.
After all, he didn't carry it in the womb. He's carrying his child. And actually,
isn't that the beginning of abuse, where you start having an exchange of roles, where men begin to look as the new women, and women begin looking themselves as the guys that wear the pants in the home, and eventually it will escalate into beating, where the woman starts beating a man.
Wearing of pants is okay again.
No, because I'm not talking about literally. I'm saying it metaphorically, that I'm the guy that wears the pants in this home.
Yeah, I can assure you, when men really play that, what is known as the motherly role, but now which is fatherly and motherly, they bond terrifically very well.
But aren't we going against our own cultures? I mean, where we come from, Sheila, you know very well that, I mean, if they found a man carrying a child with ngozi on the back, the society will say, look, they even have a name for that. It's not fair. I mean, clearly you're not man enough.
Fortunately, they're not.
They begin to look at you don't size up to being a man.
Ow.
And yet, you are saying, finding a man pushing a pram in the neighborhoods of Bugolobi with a little baby, you know, and then once in a while they stop, hold the baby here, you see feeding with a bottle, and you call that very fine.
I've been in a clinic where the man has brought the kids for the immunization, and we've had a chat, and they say, oh, where is the mother? He says, oh, she traveled, she went to attend an international conference. And I think they're men enough to even accept their wives to continue doing the other roles. And you know, people keep on bringing in this issue of culture. You know, it is culture, it is our culture. Culture is not kind of static, it is dynamic. And as we change, and culture is influenced.
Culture does influence the way we live. For example, I'll give you a personal example here. I mean, I lived in a household where my father did certain things that I think for me were they were the quintessential sign of being the man in the home. That one, he was a rare fixture in the home. That when I came back from school, he had gone to drink. By the time I went to bed, he hadn't come back from drinking. By the time I left for school, he hadn't woken up from his hangover.
I'm sure you did.
So I would spend 2 weeks. No, me, I was okay with it. Because I was a mischievous kid, I didn't want to see the guy who holds the stick in the home. So I tried to be as rare also in my home like that. Because that's how I was brought up. Is that a wrong way? Are you saying men should desist from that and become little sissies and report home at 5 o'clock and be seen in the kitchen mingling?
It doesn't make them little sissies, in my opinion. It makes them the real men.
That is the way you want them to be.
In that way, they are able to bond with their children. They are able to gain love. I've seen men getting very miserable in their old age. Men who did not bond with their children, who were never there. And now this old man wants a conversation with you. And you know, you were happier when he was away, and now he is a guy who wants to crack a joke in his old age. And you're like, is my dad going crazy? This guy hardly talked to us when we were growing up. And that's why you find children are more, of the older generation, are more attached to their mothers. And these men die in very miserable lives. One, they were terrorists in the home. They terrorized the woman, that thinking they were men. Now when they really become...
So now when women start beating men and terrorizing their men in their homes and all that, I think you need to look in the camera and tell them that they will become the terrorists of tomorrow, where their children begin to look at them as abusers, as perpetrators of violence.
I've seen certain circumstances where the children are more scared of their moms. And they are telling you, oh, my mom is a terror and my dad is an angel. Some of them, it's because some dads are absent, but others, their dads are coming out to express now the love, which their mothers are not offering these kids.
Sheila, as we conclude this, usually, of course, when we face with such any phenomena in this country, of course, we always fall back to the usual hashtag, Tusaba government etuyambe. So are we looking at a situation where very soon we will see a movement of men calling for some form of affirmative action from government to protect males or men who are increasingly becoming, you know, the punching bags of their women, simply because tables are turning, the world is developing, perhaps it's now moving anti-clockwise? Where do you see this going? I mean, let's just have a projection.
I think for me, I'm moving from Tusaba government etuyambe to government etusaba tujiyambe. You get it? Because we are the people, and we are supposed to support our government. So government should ask the people to help it, not the other way around. That would be my take. that government yet saba tujiyambe.
But you see, we are such a disenfranchised people. We are such a powerless people. We are such a people that have a dependency syndrome on these power centers called the government. How are we going to change the psyche for people to start exuding their right?
I think I'm one of those people who feel that I need always to reclaim my space. If I feel somebody is taking away the power which is endowed to me from above, I feel that I have that power. No leader should take away the power I have. So I go out and demand what is duly mine. And we should take it away and go, I think, we strategically decide to go and empower our people to demand, not to feel that our leaders are doing us a favor.
Indeed.
Yeah, they're not doing us a favor.
Sheila, let me take you back to where it all started. We are talking about abuse of men by women. There is this whole description of a gentleman, you know, who even when a woman henpecks you and beats you up, act with tact and detachment, you know, show that you are the gentleman, get beaten and just keep quiet.
Yes. Women do that.
And they use that against the men because they know that he's going to, if the man retaliates, oh, he's such a beast, he's not a gentleman. What would you give as advice to men when they get henpecked? Should they become gentlemen or should they retaliate in self-defense?
No, I think violence doesn't sort violence.
I thought fire lines stop fires.
That is to the fire. But human nature, I think, doesn't apply.
That's quite an interesting
So
one.
what they should do, I think they should seek help. They can seek counseling. They can talk about it. You know, as women, when we talk about
I'm
these
imagining
things,
Jay-Z
men
walking
you
into a counseling booth for sister-in-law battery.
Yes, but he can even talk to friends. How do I handle my sister-in-law? Boys.
Jay-Z was my friend, and he came to talk to me. I said, you should have beaten the hell out of that guy. You should have pounded out to miss meat. That's the kind of advice he possibly is getting from his male friends. Does that kind of advice help?
That advice doesn't help. I think the boys should learn that
some battles
have to be lost. And when you talk to fellow boys, because sometimes women talk to fellow women, and it is the women who advise them. You'll get these ones who will tell you, walk out.
Then
another one will say, stay.
I've been in it for this long
Yes,
time,
I have been there. And then others will tell you, go to feeder. Report this guy. How dare he? Or others will say, we are coming in this evening. We shall show
him out.
Yeah, we shall show him.
Then before you know it, you see a female brigade storming your house and sorting you out.
So there are different ways. But I think society should grow up a bit and begin to discussing these things openly.
But perhaps also there is need to ensure that certain misgivings or certain altercations do not spill over into the realm of violence. But how can they not be if people are living in a violent society where every little problem to them can only be sorted out by a hammer? Because for them, every problem is seen as a nail. Does that come down to, you know, you were a mother, you were a wife, and you are an activist?
Yes.
How do these three roles blend into ensuring that your children, for example, or your own conduct, Sheila, does not fall in the realms of misconduct? Because, you know, as an activist, you're a combative person, you're a person that asserts themselves onto, you know, you have your rights. Just like you shared with us here, nobody can take away your space. But as a mother, you have the right and obligation to raise your children into self-respecting citizens. But as a wife, you also need to be subservient to your husband, and that's the way it is said. That's the counseling you got before you got married from your singers and all sorts of things. So this, don't you see a bit of a contradiction and seesaw kind of movement in all these roles?
I think life is full of seesaws. But what sorts out all this, it is the communication you have. Because I don't believe in child battery. I don't believe in it. People say spare the rod and then you lose the child. I don't believe that a child should be beaten and battered like we were when we were growing up.
Your children are an extremely lucky bunch.
True. They are a very lucky bunch because we sit and discuss.
Oh, you're a lucky parent. They are not mischievous. They are possibly some dormant chaps who are not causing you trouble.
Fortunately, they haven't really caused me any trouble because it was discussion from the time go.
You treated them like adults discussed with them.
Yeah, and we sit. And there are so many punishments you can give to a kid. And kids really feel like, oh my God.
Especially denial of certain...
Denial of certain things. Now there are certain things, electronics, and you just say, switch off that TV and no TV today. And that's okay.
Sheila Kawamara Mishambi there, she is the chairperson of UONET, who is a jack of all trades and who will discuss matters ranging from family life to activism and, of course, to political agitation. She is somebody that is very resourceful and will give you information in every realm that you choose to, including and not limited to matters sexuality. That's not what we're discussing today. We were discussing the issue of violence in homes. Now, let's take a short break. When we return, as Simon says, as I prepare you for the weekend ahead, will you batter your wife or will she batter you? There's always been this saying that the rich also cry. So many of you who've been suffering silently, being beaten up by your own wives or even wives' relatives like sisters-in-law or even a mother-in-law for that matter, well, there you have it. You possibly were blaming your poor stature, the fact that you don't have any money on you, the fact that your wife does wear the pants in the house, metaphorically, not literally, but also literally, you would say she fends for the home, she pays school fees, she dresses you up, feeds you and clothes you, and that's perhaps the reason why they beat you up. Well, there you have it. I do not think that Solange, the sister-in-law of Jay-Z, one of the world's biggest rappers, a 44-year-old being beaten by his own sister-in-law who's 29 years, perhaps old enough to be his own daughter, is a clear manifestation that, well, the rich also cry, and that means that violence has got no borders or boundaries. It means that violence, domestic or otherwise, can transcend all sorts of boundaries, be they economical, social, I also hasten to add even political. But like Sheila did argue at the beginning of this show, does violence still have a place in human existence and interaction? And I think we're increasingly seeing violence becoming perhaps a preserve of states and uncouth organizations. But that certainly should not be a form of interaction between humans, especially those who've got an interaction or a bond that someone would describe as love. We're going in for a weekend. It's a wonderful Friday morning, a bit rainy where we are coming from, but perhaps it's not raining where you are. You should make this a productive day. But when you go out this evening, or even tomorrow, or even on Sunday, to have your usual laid-down interaction where you have fun and blast away, make sure the blast is not literal. Do not blast your partners or your friends, because violence, obviously, does not have a place. But if you are blasted for that matter, I think there's more ways that you can handle it than just silence. Speak out. Let everybody know. Let the perpetrators of violence at least get the reprimand they deserve. Perhaps that will play a huge role in reducing the occurrence and frequency of violence in our lives. Have a wonderful morning. Stay tuned to the program. We never stop giving it to you in the best way we can. Have a good morning.
That is going to be seriously debated about. We should not get involved in it as a nation.
And it shall be used all over the place.
There's a person who is going to rise up. Pray for the Minister of Health. His life is preserved. In the name of Jesus. Our nation is actually a hindrance, is actually the whole gay thing. The debate is going to rise again.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Mr. Krabs, are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs,
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again? What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? That's a mega win!
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow!
SpongeBob! Fantastic!
Are you and I ever gonna have a chance to be sisters?
You want the baby to have my name?
Would that be okay?
Son, I'm happy you came. Yes, especially since I thought you were shunning all things Newman. I have my own reasons for showing up.
What did you say about him?
I'm sorry, attempted rape.
Okay, look, whatever you think you know about him, you don't know his heart.
If there is a way to make me feel more miserable, you will instinctively find it.
You gave up the one woman you loved, and now you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on?
I can't imagine who would want to hurt a good man like you.
Okay, you know what? I don't need you telling me how to feel about Lily.
Are you pregnant? No. Then why are you trying to alienate Tyler?
Has something happened between the two of you? Are you afraid that I'm gonna do something to ruin your marriage, or that you will?
Why don't we have a party? I'll bring Nikki and bring your siblings. How's that?
Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna blackmail them this time, or are you gonna bribe them?
Looks like Mommy's not the only one who knows how to make up a story.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
What's the matter? Are you all right?
Oh, we're in San Pedro, aren't we?
Yeah. That woman is dead. You have to understand that.
What's going on? The windows aren't even open. There's not even a breeze. In the beginning, you repented, yes. You were too late, though.
What was Fernando Beltran sorry for?
None of us can escape our own destinies.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
It's exactly 15 after 8. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you're joining us online, youtube.com/NTV Uganda /live. Or you can follow us on our Twitter at Morning at NTV, and of course Facebook, like us there, Morning at NTV. We're over now 15,000 people. Let's make it up to 300,000 by the end of June. Before the break, we had Sheila Mishambi, who is the chairperson of ONET, talking about domestic violence with Kasiate. A couple of things that she said: violent partners should seek help from friends or counselors if domestic violence is to be stopped. And most men don't bond with their children and only remember to do so when it is far too late. When men are beaten in their marriages, they rarely speak up for fear of being mocked. All right, if you're a man and they lay hands on you, hopefully you can get someone to talk to, and let's stop domestic violence. Of course, this comes in the wake of the TMZ video that saw rapper Jay-Z being beaten by his sister-in-law. And yeah, does this happen to men? Yes, it does. And because most men keep quiet, it's never discussed. Your reactions to this matter on our handle at NTV. All right, just give me a couple of seconds, and I will be able to get that. Later, Mabel will be coming up with your Facebook comments, but also your birthday wishes. All right, got it. Fatboy Slim saying it's really very sad that most men are beaten and never say anything. Isaac Kaban said domestic violence was for a long time ago. Let's stand together and fight it in our families. And yeah, Elsie Muha also retweeting some of that. You can also send the SMS to 6565. Now, for all this time, I've been talking about HTC. Let's first cross over to Mabel with your Facebook comments. When I come back, I'll be giving out some phones courtesy of HTC.
Thank you very much, Brian, for that. Now, before I get to the messages, just some birthday messages here. Janet Jackson actually turns 52 today. And it's very interesting because she first burst onto our scenes as a very young girl in the sitcom Different Strokes. She was about 14 when she started acting with Arnold and Willis and the Drummond family. And we remember her as that. And she's 52 now. Unbelievable. Also turning 61 today is Pierce Brosnan. We know him from the James Bond series. This gentleman is from Irish origin, and he starred in about 4 James Bond movies. Megan Fox is another one. She turns 28 today, popularly known for Transformers, but she's also a model in her own right. Well, happy birthday to them, and happy birthday to you too if you are celebrating a birthday today. Now, on to some of your Facebook messages regarding domestic violence. We have Sheila Kawamara earlier, and we have Moses Kato saying, in developed countries, generations like this, domestic violence should have been criminalized, because I see no reason why a man or a woman should beat up an intimate person, I guess, in form of passing the HIV bills. They should consider that first. I don't think I quite understand that message. But we shall now cross over to Brian. Brian, how many phones do you have to give out today?
Well, Mabel, I'm going to be giving out 5 phones. HTC Desire 300, courtesy of HTC. You can go to the hub at Forest Mall. And I'll call our first winner, Joseph Michael Matembo,
yes,
who is a winner. And let him come and receive his phone, courtesy of HTC. And yeah. You know, give him the mic. He needs to come and say something. All right. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning,
How
Brian.
are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Tell us, how did you participate in this?
I just sent a text to 6565 after answering a few questions. I don't remember which ones they were because I sent so many times. And I thought so. Yeah.
All right. How did you feel when you got the call that you were a winner?
Actually, I felt really great because I was like, okay, I planned on buying a new HTC phone, but then again, I'm being told I'm getting a new one free of charge. I was like, wow.
So you're foregoing the other one? All right, let me get, this is your brand new phone from HTC.
Thank you.
Let us show people, because some people say
inside it might be Mandas.
Here, HTC Desire 300.
Thank you.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for loving the show. Waibi Yokosani. Waibi Yokosani is yet another winner. By the way, some of you sent to Bafeda, but I hope now you're seeing things. All right, let's get Waibi here with that mic. Waibi, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you do?
No, I'm a student.
You're a student? Where?
Yeah, Chambogo University.
What course are you doing?
Chemical engineering.
Chemical engineering?
Yes.
Waibi. What exactly is chemical engineering?
Chemical engineering, it's all about petroleum and...
Petroleum?
Yeah.
You're the ones going to drill the oil?
Yeah, exactly.
You man. This head is full of that knowledge.
Yeah, it's full
All right,
of
let me get you. Hopefully this HTC Desire will help you see the sulfuric acid and the chemicals and the alkalinity of our petroleum. Remember me in your kingdom when you get rich.
Yeah,
HTC Desire 300. Congratulations, Waibi. And yes, but you guys, chemical engineering, Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let me see Nampija Joan Mukwano. Are you from the Mukwano group of companies? All right. Good morning.
Morning.
What do you do?
I'm a student.
You're also a student?
Yeah.
Where?
MOBS.
MOBS. What do you do?
Business administration.
Hey, I thought you are also going to say chemical engineering. All right. How many SMSs did you send? If you sent one, I may take back my HTC.
I think there are over 25.
25 messages.
Yeah.
All right. And you are answering what question?
The HTC that will be launched at the Champions League final.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you may not have that HTC for now, but at least you'll have HTC Desire 300. The difference is the outside, the body here. All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for loving the show. Canberra David. Yeah, going on. These people are going to start their weekend in a very good style. Good morning, David. Good morning. You're dressed like a real HTC guy. Eh?
Thank you.
Swag here.
Thank you.
How did you participate?
I sent a message to, is it 6565? Yeah.
All right. Where the questions Wama had, some people are inboxing me and they're saying, Brian, it's very hard to, these things are so complicated.
If you really follow the show, these questions are really easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, your HTC Desire is here.
Thank you very much.
Inside there, the phone is there. You first see if it is for real. Checho, Jechidi, Chinyenye muchu izokwata ata dem blog.
Thank you very
Congratulations,
much.
man. Thanks for loving the show. And our last winner, Michael Yiga. Michael Yiga is also a winner. Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, good morning.
What exactly do you do?
I work with insurance printing.
Printing work, yes.
Oh,
yes.
So you work with an insurance company?
No, it's printing.
Printing,
yes.
Oh, how come you watch the show every day? You wake up and...
Yeah, I watch the show because we have a screen in the office.
Oh, you have a screen in the office?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. And so you just tried your luck, you sent to 6565?
6565 and
what
I was
that
surprised.
when they called you?
Yeah, actually I was surprised. It was a surprise.
All right.
I didn't expect it.
Let me surprise you with the real evidence now. Your HTC Desire 300 is here.
Sure.
Congratulations.
I feel good.
Huh?
It's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Sure.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for loving the show. Thanks for watching. And we hope you enjoyed.
Oh,
if there's a manual there, if the thing gets complicated, you just look at the manual.
Okay.
And you'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Well, those are the winners. Remember, the HTC Hub is located at the Forest Mall. All you have to do, go there and check out the other models. The M8 is going to be launched at the finals of the Champions League. I hold the M7 with me. And so you can, when it's out, you can go and grab it. Well, Mabel, what are some of the comments on our Facebook page?
Thank you very much, Brian. Some of the comments on our Facebook page, we have Alex saying, here in Moyo, the issue is not domestic violence. The issue is the large number of unemployed youth in the Great Madi sub-region in West Nile. People are running to South Sudan to be enrolled in the South Sudanese army. We have Solo saying, do these women activists have husbands? I think they may inculcate hatred and anger into young ladies' hearts. And Isaac says, nothing gets better than waking up to morning at NTV, especially in a cold Friday morning. And we have some of you trying to answer the question that we had asked earlier. Prince Agaba saying, I would like to thank NTV fans out there for being alive always. And Fred Wakida saying, I guess, fathers, it will help fathers to cherish what they hold dear. I think this is in regard to men spending more time at home with their children. We have someone here, Nelson, saying we need gender balance, please. All men and women are equal. Arnold is saying, hi guys, battling a man or a woman is real trash. Imagine Jay-Z is ridiculous. I'm not too sure what he means there. But on to some other messages regarding the big story today. We have Ashraf saying, in actual sense, no woman can beat up a man. It's a thought of respect that men never fight back. Simon says, more politics in homes. Love is no more in relationships. It's Mfunirawa philosophy. Calling for fights now and again to win either side. God's mercy only. Ashraf, we have Ntare saying, I'm getting you on YouTube with my phone live data with his HTC, and that's great. You can follow us indeed on, you can watch the show on YouTube. Isaac saying, domestic violence was for old Stone Age. Let's style up. This is 2014. And Kamia saying, domestic violence for sure is too ancient. So whoever is culpable is regarded as ancient. And we do know that a 2010 report by Amnesty International revealed that more women than men think domestic violence is justified. And that was what we were talking about on the big story with Sheila Kawamara and Simon Kasiate here on Morning at NTV. I came across this interesting picture and of Henry, who does Kitchen Delight. He was actually up in Lira a while back, and I just thought this was really beautiful, and I thought I'd share it with you. If you have not been to the NTV page, it's actually the picture on the front page of the NTV's Facebook page. And Henry also shares other pictures of cooking in Lira and learning how to cook indigenous foods and in the indigenous way. Lots of pictures here and quite interesting. I do look forward to the show this Sunday. And yeah, someone saying they are waiting for Kitchen Delight to go to Lira. And yeah, it's just interesting. I thought I would share that with you this Friday morning. And I think Brian is ready with Everyday Life. I had a guitar playing in the background. We shall now cross over to Brian for Everyday Life.
Many miles with whispers, a shorter time to leave. A song of love together, we can sing it with one voice. Many miles with whispers, a shorter time to leave. A song of love together, we can sing it with one voice. We're alive, we're free, we belong, we're one. Oh, how good to be one voice. We're alive, we're free, we belong, we're one. Oh, how good to be one voice. Yeah, yeah. We never separated, where the journey's in our lives. Our hearts are bound together, no one is alone. Never separated, but the journey's in our lives. Our hearts are bound together, and no one is alone. Oh, we're alive, we're free, we belong, we're one. Oh, how good to be one voice. We're alive, we're free, we belong, we're one. Oh, how good be one voice. Yeah, yeah. In half a mile we may fail, we even fall apart, but inside us the love shared is never meant to die. Half a mile we may fail, we even fall apart, but inside us the love shared is never meant to die.
Wow, we are alive, we are free, we are one, we are one. Oh, how good to be. Yeah, we are alive, we are free, we belong, we are one. Oh, how good to be one voice. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. What's the name of that song, man?
We Belong.
We Belong.
Yes.
Wow. Just keep playing in the background, you know, just this Friday morning, if you're getting up and getting ready for the weekend. I feel like I'm in love, man. And we're still at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel, ushering you into the weekend. And this gentleman is extremely talented. And actually, his name is Talent. That's weird. How come you're called Talent?
It's not weird to me.
that's very weird. Why did you choose to use the name Talent?
I don't think I chose to be called Talent. It's like if I asked you why you were called Brian, I think you.
That's your name. That's what they.
Yes,
that's what your parents.
Yes.
Really, I thought it was like a stage name.
That would be funny.
Wow.
That would be blowing a trumpet of sorts.
Wow, I actually thought it was your stage name.
No.
Wow, who is Talent? Tell us about Talent.
Male Ugandan. I'm born and raised in Kabale. I was born and raised in Kabale.
You're Mchiga?
Yes.
It's very hard to hear Mchiga singing English.
Oh no, I can sing Ruchiga equally good.
Really?
And well, late 20s. I'm a surveyor by profession.
Wow.
I work with St. Francis Makerere as the worship and creative arts director, minister.
I've had the opportunity of seeing you maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
You know, singing, and I thought, of course, I was shocked. I was like, this guy is talent, and he has amazing talent. Very good creativity. This morning I called you because I want to talk a little bit about creating songs or writing lyrics, because even, you know, for my radio show I've had a huge debate on the ability of artists in this country to ably communicate what they want to. We focus on and we dance,
yes.
But at the end of the day, you're like, what am I dancing to?
The content.
Right,
yeah.
the content, creating the content for the song. Do you write your own songs?
Yes, I do.
How do you do that? Is it because I have a feeling it must be very hard?
It's hard and easy. I think writing isn't some. It's like fine art. It can be done or it can't be done. You can't learn it even if you had degrees in writing. I believe it has to be natural.
Right.
I also get amazed when you listen to most of radio's music. I mean the radio stations, not the person. They seem to play more of the music that was written many years ago, meaning that the writing has changed. If you listen to most of the music that's played, and that's something that moved me to think about, how can I be a mature writer?
Right.
Yeah, how can I be a mature writer? Write something that people would want to, you know, rhyme along, something that would be of big meaning, that would outlive myself, that would be probably not to even make me popular, but in itself would make a lot of sense to more people.
But does our generation appreciate the beauty of writing, you know, a deep song? Right now, you know, there's what we call bubblegum music.
Yes.
The guy sings about nothing the whole 3 minutes of the
Yes.
song. And people are putting up their hands in the air, waving them like they just don't care.
That's one of the lyrics. In
that's one of the lines. Like everyone now has that, you know. Do we appreciate that music?
It is appreciated, yes, but it doesn't seem to take long. It seems to take just a short while, while the stage is on, and while the stage is off, nobody remembers it. It's short-lived. It takes a few months, and then you have to write another one in order to stay on the platform.
Right.
Yes. I don't know. I think a lot of things have changed. A lot of trends have changed, because what we are looking for in writing now is the gain for now. Yeah, it isn't what will happen tomorrow.
Well, you can sample us another thing, and you know, when we come back, we'll also be looking at how you can ably create a piece, you know, or a song, a simple song, just basics. What works for you? Ladies and gentlemen, talent.
It filled my soul like a beam of light. I was left alone without a hope, and it's only then that my eyes were open wide to see the crowds of comfort and love, comfort and love. I felt separated, like I needed to let it go. Looked at my past, it's a rugged world. Became so hard to rest in you, yet I felt you near, yeah, with comfort and love, with comfort and love. And the tears I cried, the sleepless nights, certain days counted history. 'Cause you're my joy, you're my prize, my pride. And in your love, I am complete, covered in love, yeah, covered in love, yeah, covered in love.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I feel like a musician, man. Drop that
Yes,
verse again,
you
let's
are.
go. Comfort and love. All right, baby. It's Friday, and maybe this
Comfort
music
and
may get you back into bed. But let's just roll.
Oh, no,
Let's
not
go,
that,
talent.
Yeah, comfort and love. I'm gonna hire you for the band. Comfort and love.
Yeah, baby.
Comfort and love. It doesn't talk about babies. Comfort and love.
This is baby making music, man. It's good stuff. Well, talent, to create something like that, what would you, you know, basics, simple basics for an artist to do?
You know, music is a lot to do with it's food for the mind, for the soul. And once a writer knows that, then choice of words, choice of progression matters a lot. If naturally you can't connect to choice of words and I mean the progression, the harmony.
Right.
I'm very sure you've listened to songs that have stayed in your mind. You want to rhyme with it even after it has ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a writer, it's taking time, whichever writer you are, taking time to think about the harmony, how it is going to different tones, and then the words.
Does it help sometimes? Is it easier to write a song if you, for example, can play an instrument?
Well, you really don't have to play an instrument in order to write, but you have to have an instrument. You have to have ability to listen to voices, to sounds in your mind, and then I mean that makes it easier. It's not mandatory, because I know friends who are not people who play any instrument, but they are still good writers.
They're beautiful writers.
Yes.
How many songs have you written?
Maybe 30.
30 songs?
Possibly, yes.
And are your own songs?
Yes, they are.
Wow. Wow. If you are a critic, can you teach people how to write?
Yes, I think I've done like 2 sessions on creative arts and writing, majorly because my work is into worship, so you teach people how to write music, how to write movement songs. Yeah, I've had an opportunity to do so once or twice. Yes.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hanging out with Talent this morning. He's called Talent, actually, okay? And he has talent. That's weird.
It's not
and
weird.
that's not his stage name. That's the name his parents gave him. And definitely you can see the kind of stuff that he creates. If you are a writer, what kind of music do you write for the fans? But also, as fans, have we dictated the kind of stuff that our artists write for us? Where you listen and you're like, what is, for lack of a better word, crap that I'm listening to? A beat may be awesome, but the words don't make sense at all. That's why musicians forget them all the time. You know,
Yes,
I see musicians can't sing their own songs.
Yes.
Because they also don't know what they wrote. You know, so this morning we're trying to, get you inspired. You said you also do some Ruchiga songs.
That was a bit of a joke, upcoming.
But can you try and sing something in Ruchiga?
Yes, I think I can pick on. I can't think of anything now.
Okay,
but I
just
can
play
pick on
us another
something.
thing. Let's play us something else. As I get Isma to put his dancing shoes on.
Or you want it to be a dancing one in this early morning. I'm sure you've heard this before.
How can I make it to leave here without you? It's leaving here with no air. The water is so deep, the rain is not gonna stop, sun is not showing up. Hey, can you hear me calling you? Oh, hey, and let me hear you calling me. Oh, hey, how can I live without you, dream without you, breathe without you, can't be without you.
My biggest fear was if I was to come here dancing, that was my biggest fear, but that has...
you have, both your legs are left?
Since I'm already here, and this is such a song that is the bend of a generation, because if that was bend of a generation,
you'd be, you know.
And I wonder how many songs we'd compose in 9 years. Because that's how long since Arsenal last won a trophy. How many songs would come in 9 years?
So many. Well, what's on the menu this morning?
We'll talk about the Arsenal. Like I said, 9 years since they last won a trophy. There's a big one in Germany. That is the El Clasico between Dortmund and Bayern, the German Cup final. We'll also talk about the Uganda Cranes team. They departed this morning for Madagascar just a few hours ago. And then there's the big title race in Spain between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona.
The cup final is also this weekend.
There is a cup final too. So there's a lot of it. 9 years? How many songs are those?
9 years?
In 9 years, how many songs would you play in 9 years?
9 times 12.
Really? Really? Talent, just take it away, man. Take it away.
And trying to make it through, leaving your love in me, making the best of me. Loving you all my days, taking all that I should, leaving unloving you. Can you hear me calling you? Oh, hey, and let me hear you calling me. Oh, hey, how can I live without you, dream without you, breathe without you, can't be without you. How can I live without you, dream without you, breathe without you, can't be without you. How can I live without you, dream
Sunlight adds fabric conditioners to washing powder to give you Sunlight 2-in-1 for sensational cleaning and fragrance that lasts and lasts and lasts. Sunlight 2-in-1, sensational cleaning and all-day fragrance.
That is going to be seriously debated about. We should not get involved in it as a nation.
And it shall be news all over the place.
There's a person who is going to rise up. Pray for the Minister of Health. His life is preserved. In the name of Jesus. Our nation is actually a hindrance, is actually the whole gay thing. The debate is going to rise again.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Jazz with Isaiah.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. You know, play any song and say bye bye black sheep on it. Down, 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 down. Something down, 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 down. Nakupenda. Hivyo ulivyo. I don't want to be closed down to something that I'm not able to express myself.
Jazz with Isaiah.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Fifteen on to 9. Thank you so much for staying with us this morning, and we're still at the rooftop, starting to drizzle a little bit, but we are still strong. And after Isma experiencing this music, I don't know what he's going to do, you know, when he leaves the show. Kind of inspired you to go and...
Good morning, Brian. First of all, but I've got to say, and I was actually telling the gentleman who was playing, the guitar produces the best sound. I'm not exactly from the generation that loved Lingala especially, but when I listen to Dali Kimoko and Diblo Dibala play the guitar, after that, please, I can go to sleep. Music is dead. After you play guitar, music is dead.
Yeah.
There's no other instrument that produces that kind of music.
You know, I've always talked about wanting to learn an instrument. I love the drums because, you know, like you're so animated and you're out there, you're enjoying, yeah?
Have you listened to the guitar in Kanda Bongo Man's music? It sounds amazing.
Kanda who?
You
no, but I
piano.
do. Yes, I do
piano,
play a bit
right?
of piano. I have no interest for the guitar, but he was great. Talent, I think, was really great. Yeah, but I'm surprised. Other than sports, he also knows Lingala.
Yeah, I do. By the way,
the other name I didn't know. I know obviously Kanda Bongo Man, Pepe Kabe, and those ones.
Something very interesting. I barely watch sports shows. When I'm done with work, I watch a lot of politics. You would be amazed.
That's weird.
By how much I know about South Sudan. But every Ugandan does.
Yeah, well, this morning, hope you've been inspired, but also a call to artists to start writing some sensible music. Tukoezi bend over. I think if every artist writes bend over, then surely. Someone is singing in my ear, and yeah, some of the songs they do make sense. Well, Isma, let's talk rugby this morning. Brian Odongo was named team captain. Is that a good move?
A bit of inevitability about it. I think he's been groomed for this role right from high school, right from being captain of the under-19 several years ago, I think back in 2009 for Uganda, and being captain at Cobs. I think he's been built for this. Actually, for several years, Brian Odongo, like he loves to be called. I always misspelled his name without the last O, Odongo, and it sounded like Odong. And he never really liked it because, and actually sat me down at some point and told me, you guy, you misspell my name every time, and that's not me. I'm a totally different person. But a leader, yeah, he's built for that.
Odongo.
Yeah.
Odongo.
It's Odongo, not Odongo.
Odongo.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good for him, I think. Like I said, inevitability has been built for this role. I think he'll do great as a captain. Hasn't played for Uganda last year because he was out injured with a knee problem. Now he's back in the team, and they're preparing to go to Tunisia next month for the Africa Cup, Tier 1B. Right. Where I think he'll do a great job, and he has new co-captains. That means there is Justin Kimono as one of the co-captains, and then that means that they've moved on from Matthias Ocho was the captain, and then when he got injured last year, they brought in Michael Okorash to be captain, the outside centre, and now they moved on from Michael Okorash to Brian Odongo, who for me is probably the best captain this league has at the moment. The revival that Cobs has undergone from being barely competitive to winning the league again for the first time in 6 years is down to people like him.
Okay, and on to local basketball, we have the Warriors versus KIU Titans. How much do they have to lose?
Both of them have a lot to lose, and of course have a statement to make, because it's been a season where it's either Power or City Oil. They need to get some kind of news on some kind of spotlight onto themselves. Warriors, luckily they've retained Ivan Enabu, who wanted to go to Power, so that should be a good move for them. And then KIU probably have the best inside game because they have the tallest player, Bola Cole, and then Sam Gombia, who is 7'1". So I would love to see how they are going to put this together. Henry Minukawi can put this together and have the teams competing, because outside of Power and City Oil, these are the two teams that everyone else will be looking out for, especially KIU. They always change players year after year, but they never get it right. Will they get it right this time? Today will be an indicator of how far they can go.
Right. Well, our national team departed for Madagascar this morning. Who made the final cut?
I think everyone I expected to make the team did, except I was surprised that Benjamin Ochan wasn't on that flight to Antananarivo. I thought he did great during the Chan, and would have been a better option than probably having Ismail Watenga travel there, because Watenga will barely be competitive, especially when you have a problem with your first choice goalkeeper. Would he come in? Probably not for me. But it's Robert Odonkara and him and Watenga and Hamza Mwonge in goal. And then there is Joseph, which I think should get the left back slot now that Godfrey Lusim is out through suspension, sent off in the last qualifying round against Senegal. So I think all the players are supposed to make the team, but though the player who's been causing a lot of debate has been Hassan Waswa. He's not played competitively since January because he's been fighting with this club. Kesu claims he suspended him. Waswa claims Kesu have never written to him because he tried to leave the club without their consent. But never written any kind of letter to him informing of a suspension. So there's been that kind of problem with the team. But I think Mitch has gone for whatever he has. I could barely fault him for the selection, because the guys who have been left out, like Gaddafi Chiwanuka from KCC and all the others, are the players expected to be left out. I always look forward to seeing who his striking choices would be. And I was actually amazed that he's taking 4 strikers to Madagascar, because
he really wants the goals.
He really wants the goals, because he has Daniel Serunkuma, he has Francis Olaki and his brother Emmanuel Okio on the team, and then Hamis Diego Keys. I thought he would take only 3 for the away game, but to go with 4, that's quite a bold move.
Serunkuma did well during Chan, right?
Yeah, he did well. He did well, actually. That was Centum, but he's actually been doing well for his team. Goma here, who won the league in Kenya for the first time in 16 years. They are not won since 1997, the best supported team in Kenya. And Serunkuma is the reason why they got success again. So I think inevitably, they need to be given a chance on this team. And he hasn't got so many chances. Remember when they selected him for a friendly against Rwanda last year, away from home, and he scored a goal from a penalty spot. I thought that would have sparked him into life, but ever since then he hasn't contributed much. So this is a chance for him. Geoffrey Massa in the team, no Uni Centum in the team. So probably a chance for Serunkuma and Francis Olaki to stake their claim on a place in the team long term.
Okay. Well, moving on to international basketball, we have all 4 conference finalists being known now. Break this down for us.
First of all, in the Eastern Conference is a repeat of last year's final. Miami Heat who got through yesterday, and then the Indiana Pacers, they beat Washington Wizards this morning by 93-80. David West scoring 29 points. So that one is sorted. We'll get to it when the finals start, because I think it's going to be a very good matchup. I expect Heat to win, but also to be pushed all the way. Then Kevin Durant, the MVP, got his Oklahoma City Thunder through to the Western Conference Finals this morning, scoring 39 points as the OKC beat up on the LA Clippers by 104 to 98 to get to the final. And I really go back to that interview that he had earlier in the year with Sports Illustrated, and he said his start of being number 2 is in another conference final. Will they get to the final? Answers will start coming through next week.
Well, it's starting to rain, so we'll definitely walk over to get some shelter, probably have a cameraman follow us and continue the sports. But also a big weekend for us, eh? A big weekend. Bernard Kuba.
I think Arsenal outright favourites for this. Even with this rain, I think Arsenal outright favourites. They've not lost to. They have not lost to us. They've not lost to Hull in 7 encounters. And actually, I have a feeling that for all the Arsenal fans, they know this is a very, very, very important game. Because while Arsene Wenger says his decision to decide whether he stays with the Arsenal or not won't be backed by what they do tomorrow, I think many Arsenal fans know that Arsenal have to win. They have to win. There is no excuses. Because you could lose a final if you're losing to Chelsea, and you're losing to Manchester United, you're losing to Man City. But which team loses finals to Hull? To be honest. And I've got to think that whatever Arsenal do, they've got to go and set the tone. If they set the tone early, they'll have a very good chance of winning the game. And actually, I'm under no illusion. I barely bet on finals. And because finals could go either way. Remember just last year in the FA Cup final, remember, it was Wigan against Man City, and Wigan won that. But I am under no illusion. It will be a tough game. But also on the other hand, I'll be surprised. Brian, you said you won't come here on Monday if Arsenal don't win. I'll be so surprised if Arsenal
I don't know what I'm going to go through if we don't win. Because, yeah, I'll be killed on social media.
but I think after these 9 years, Arsenal have got to go and win this. I want to see Mesut Ozil play like the player is supposed to be. I want to see Aaron Ramsey replicate some of the form he had, especially between August and December. You want to see everyone go and play this. This is the final game they'll have. And I was seeing Thomas Vermeulen's interview yesterday when he said for all the young players in the Arsenal team, they have to win this one. They know this is the game that will turn the history of Arsenal around. After 9 years of not winning anything, they've got to go to Wembley and win. There is no other way of thinking about it.
No option.
Yeah.
Well, in Germany, the coach there is calling it an El Clasico this weekend. Tell us a bit more.
Pep Guardiola, because of his time at Barcelona, he relates with the Real Madrid-Barcelona culture, the El Clasico. Now they have a big one.
What is the equivalent in German? You should tell us.
It probably would be Bayern Munich. Oh,
the word El Clasico.
That one is I don't know that one.
It can be Braunschweig, but no, it can be. Because that's a city.
I don't know. I don't know it. I don't know.
But a very important game, I think, for either side, both Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. Bayern know they need to win a double. They didn't do well in Europe, and they won. And ever since they won the league with 7 games to spare, that spark is gone. And then Dortmund have played very well towards the end of the season. I saw them when they beat up on Bayern in the second leg of their league game by 3 goals to 0, and they were brilliant. I'm actually backing Borussia Dortmund to go and clean Bayern in this final in Berlin tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, because I think they'll be hungrier. I think the Bayern hunger went way after they won the league title. I'll be very surprised if Bayern won this one. I'll be very surprised. But if they probably won a double, it will erase so many of the things that happened to them after losing to Real Madrid in the Champions League in the semi-final. So it's going to be a very close game, but extremely high scoring with Borussia Dortmund winning.
Right. Well, Isma will be coming up later with a sports update, actually at 1:30 p.m. with Lumansi and Alan. Make sure you stay tuned. And every Monday from Club Souk, 10:30 p.m., we have Sports Bar. Coming up, your African proverb. One who goes back home doesn't consider the night too dark. He already knows his way.
Are these people who go home late at night?
No, if you go home every other day, you get used to the way. You know, there are people who veer off. You may not go home every time you leave wherever you've been. But you know, I know these stories in many of the villages in Uganda. Everyone will tell you about this drunkard who walks home at probably, they will tell you 1 a.m., but because it's dark and there isn't electricity, that drunkard is going on probably at 10, but they never lose their way. However drunk they are, they never get knocked. Regardless of how they are walking, you know, they walk and stagger across the road. Yeah, zigzag, but still get home regardless because they are used to the way. I think you get to learn your path every other time.
Well, bananga tina fa mutudekeka kubanga we spend a lot of time.
I go home.
Do you have a routine?
No, not really. Yeah.
You tell yourself I'm supposed to be home by 10?
I want to go home during the weekdays. I try to go home early. Yeah, because I have to wake up early.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You have a 4 a.m. job.
But tonight, tonight she's not going home early.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you get the vision for that?
No, it's just the weekdays she's not doing anything tomorrow. But I'm really going to a rabbit hole and not come out of. And I want to say it's going to be awesome. This weekend is big for Arsenal, Musave. If we have to employ Mama Fina, let's do it. And please,
Queen.
Sabe Queen at everything. I'm sure I will get something back. It's starting to rain here at the rooftop. I don't know wherever you are. Well, we'll catch you on Monday morning. First thing, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and the SMS platform 6565. Hasta la vista, baby.
You're watching Morning at NTV. NTV, turning on your world.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of